Hey guys, my name is Gavin, and this will be a quick tutorial on how to make a simple weapon overheating thing. So if you fire your weapon too many times, it'll have to recharge or stall a little bit before you can use it again. This is kind of like how it was used in the original Battlefront game for Star Wars in the original Xbox. So, alright, I'll just get started. So start off, let's hit 7 to go in the top view, and double click the A button to select everything, and hit X and delete. Hit spacebar and add a plane, and we're going to use this plane as our charge meter, I guess, for our gun. So I'll just call this charge meter, like this. And I'll hit S and X to scale it out a fair amount. And what we're going to do is go into edit mode right here, click on the line select mode, and hit A to deselect everything, and hit B as in boy, and drag over this corner, and do mesh, snap, and then cursor to selected. And go back into object mode like this, and do object, transform, and then origin to 3D cursor. So if we hit S and X, we see we can scale it down like a normal health bar. Alright, now that we have this, let's go into our animation mode from defaults and go from, let's put Blender game right there since we'll be using that in a minute. And what we're going to do is I'll hit 7 to go in the top view. I'll set the end keyframe to 100, the start keyframe is 0, and the initial keyframe that we're on as 100. Sorry, not 100, not 10. So start on keyframe 100, and we're going to have this animate from 0 to 100. So on keyframe 100, I'm going to do I and then lock scaling. And then on frame 0, I'm going to do S, X, and 0 to scale it down all the way like this. And I'm going to do I and then lock scaling. And then do key, interpolation mode, and then linear. So if we hit play, we see it's an even bar like this. And alright. Now that we have this, what we're going to do is to go from defaults to game logic and go from Blender render to Blender game. Actually, I'll go back to animation really quick, and I'll set this to 100. So now we can go to game logic. Alright, now that we have this, I'm going to add two different properties on our bar. This first one, I'll just call it heat meter, since it'll determine whether or not we're actually overheating or not. And I'll set it to 100 for now, since our weapon hasn't been fired. And I'll set this Boolean operator to false, and I'll call it charging. So like this, and we're going to have it as false for now. If we hit both of those I's and then do game and then show debug properties, we should be able to see it in the top left corner as heat meter equals 100 and charging equals false. So now that we have this, what we're going to do is I'm going to add an always sensor. And I'm going to add a mouse sensor, keep it at left button, and I'll rename it as click, and I'll have tap selected. Now that we have this, let's add a Python controller and connect those like this. And now that we have that, what I'm going to do is go into layer 2, and we're going to create our bullets. I'm going to hit Shift and C to bring the cursor back to the middle. But I'm going to create a bullet by doing spacebar and then add cube. I'll rename this cube as bullets, like this. And what we're going to do is have it so that it will always move. So add an always sensor and do click those eyes, or click the three dots right here. Then what we're going to do is add a motion actuator, and I'll put 0.5 on the y-axis, and I'll connect it like this. So we should be able to see our bullet is going to move forward like that. Let's go back into layer 1, and what I'm going to do is do spacebar and then add an empty object. Add an empty cube. I'll drag it just off to this side, and what I'm going to do is on this cube, let's add an edit object actuator, keep it at add object, and we'll have bullets for a time of 50, and I'll call this actuator shoot. And once we have that, I'm going to hit shift and right click on our health bar, or our other bar thing, our meter bar, and connect that shoot actuator to the Python controller. Next, on our charge meter, add an action actuator and change it from play to property. For the animation, put the charge meter action, and let's put the heat meter or the integer one. So we want it so that it'll animate whatever our integer is equal to, and I'll call this anim like this. So this is the way your thing should be set up. You should have two game properties, the mouse click and the always sensor, the Python controller, the shoot actuator on the empty object, and the animated actuator on the or the action actuator on the charge meter. Let's now create a script by doing templates, Python, and then game logic simple. Like this. Drag this out and delete the portion that I've highlighted right here. And hit Control and scroll up on your mouse to make your text larger. And let's rename this as gamescripts.py or something like that. Now that we have it, let's define our sensors and actuators. So let's do click is going to equal controller.sensors click. Alright. And let's do anim is going to equal const.actuators anim, implying that's our animation. And then shoot is going to equal const.actuators shoot. And we should actually, before we get started, activate the animation like this. So we can see that no matter what we put it on, so I'll put this on 20, it will scale down according to how long that bar is. And if we set it back up to 100, it'll work as well. Alright. Next, what we want to do is have it so that if we press the space bar, or if we press the mouse button, so if click.positive and own charging is equal to false, so we're not charging at the time, and own heat meter is greater than 25. What we're going to do is have own heat meter is going to minus equal 25, and we're going to do constant activate shoot. So what this means is that I'm going to click it 4 times, and the bar will go down, and so will, actually one thing, greater than or equal to 25. So we should be able to shoot, and the bar will go down to 0 like this. Now that we have this, what we're going to do is have if own health or if own heat meter is less than 25. What we're going to do is sets the Boolean operator charging, own charging, is going to equal true. So what's going to happen is, I'll take out this extra E really quick, is once it's really low on the charge, it's going to start charging again. And if own charging is equal to true, and, sorry I forgot this, and own heat meter is less than 25 or is less than 100, own heat meter is going to equal going to plus equal 1. So it's going to slowly charge up. So we should see that every time I click, it's going to charge once it gets out of range. But you'll notice it still reads that it's charging even if it gets to 100. So what we're going to do is have if own heat meter is equal to 100, own charging is going to equal false. So once it's back at 100%, it's going to stop charging. So we can click down like this, and then it will keep charging. We can't click in between, and we can click once it reaches back up. Alright, so this is how you make a simple overheating system with Python and the Blender game engine. I hope you guys find this very useful. I will leave the script open for just one more second. So here you go. I can get this out. Alright. Alright guys, thank you very much for watching.